My intention is it to be seamless like it would be in any election. Hopefully they'll be in touch with me tomorrow morning.
Voters in multiple counties are deciding whether or not to allow alcohol sales. We will hear what agency will get tax money from those sales.
And we had unseasonably warm temperatures today, but how long will this nice weather last? Details in a few minutes.
Good evening again. I'm Steve Hensley.
And I'm Neil Middleton.
Welcome inside our Decision Kentucky headquarters. With the polls just now closing, results will start to trickle in soon.
And we begin with the 5th Congressional District. Let's take some races involving a couple of congressional districts impacting Eastern Kentucky. The first one, the 5th District. Representative Hal Rogers is running unopposed. He defeated 3 opponents in the primary election with nearly 82% of the vote. Rogers has served the 5th Congressional District since 1981. He became Dean of the House in 2022, which means he is the longest serving member of the House.
Now, in the 6th Congressional District, Republican and incumbent Andy Barr is squaring off against Democrat Randy Cravens. Barr has served as the representative for the 6th Congressional District for more than 10 years. Now, this area is mostly comprised of central Kentucky, but it also includes Powell and Estill counties.
Now, there are many reasons why folks headed to the polls in this election, but perhaps the biggest one may be the economy. According to Gallup, 52% of voters say the presidential candidate's positions on the economy has, quote, an extremely important influence on their vote. That 52% of voters rating the economy as an extremely important influence for their vote for the president is the highest since the Great Recession in October 2008.
Wow, what a beautiful election day across Eastern Kentucky. We had highs in the upper 70s and low 80s, and 2 records were broken today. We'll talk about that coming up in the next check of weather. Here's the latest with live pinpoint Doppler radar. For the most part, all is quiet across Eastern Kentucky. We're seeing a little bit of rain being picked up across portions of Laurel County, but other than that, that's it. We're seeing cloudy skies. Temperatures right now in the 70s. We were in the 70s and 80s today, made it to 83 in Jackson, 83 in Prestonsburg. Hazard made it to 81, 78 was the high in Manchester, as well as London. Again, we have cloudy skies out there. This is the latest out of Breathitt County, courtesy of the Kentucky Mesonet camera, and you can see temperatures in the 70s across the majority of eastern Kentucky, upper 60s towards Clintwood, mid 60s towards Wise. When you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the 50s and 60s will greet you. Another mild start to your Wednesday, but rain chances are in the forecast, and we'll talk about that coming up in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve and Neil.
All right, thanks, Eric. Well, there are a number of races that we are watching closely this evening.
That includes the battle for Commonwealth's attorney for the 33rd Judicial Circuit. WYMT's Amelia Lee joins us now from our digital news desk. Amelia, tell us about the former Commonwealth's attorney.
Neil, Steve, this former Commonwealth's attorney is named Scott Blair. He's 52 years old, and he is from Hazard. We do know that he formerly pleaded guilty to wire fraud in May. He said that this had been going on from April 2020 to March of 2024. He was sentenced to 54 months, that's 4.5 years in prison for what had happened during that time. In his plea agreement, he said that he had intentionally devised a scheme to deprive Perry Countyans of his honest service through bribery. And he did make recommendations of probation or for sanctions for defendants for methamphetamine or sexual favors. And he has to complete 85% of his sentence of 4.5 years before he can get probation. In the meantime, between when that all happened to the election now, Jackie Steele, he's the 27th Commonwealth's attorney, and he had been filling in as that special prosecutor. So on the ballot, you can expect to see John Hanson, he's a Republican, and Jonathan Wilder, he is a Democrat. And at 7 o'clock, we'll learn more about both of those 2 candidates. At the WYMT Decision Kentucky Digital News Desk, I'm Amelia Lee. All
right, an unexpected race here in Perry County that we'll be watching closely tonight. Amelia, thank you. The 47th Judicial Circuit Commonwealth's attorney race is coming down to 2 candidates with experience in the position.
It is another race many in Letcher County are following closely. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox joins us with background information on the candidates. Chandler.
Thank you, Steve and Neil. Republican candidate Edison Banks has served for more than 20 years as Commonwealth's attorney before retiring this year. Now he looks to get back to serving again. His opponent, Democratic candidate Matt Butler, was appointed to the position after Banks retired. The Letcher County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office is not currently involved in the trial of former Sheriff Mickey Steins. Prosecutor Jackie Steele says regardless of who wins, that would not change.
The Letcher County Commonwealth Attorney's Office has been recused from that case. It has been reassigned already to myself, as you're aware of, and the Attorney General, Ramsey Dallum, is also working the case, and we will continue to cover that case until conclusion.
Matt Butler recused himself of the case because of personal connections to Kevin Mullins and Letcher County. Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, thank you, Chandler. Well, Edison Banks has also served as an attorney for the Letcher County School Board. Matt Butler has experience as a public defender.
The 95th District State Representative race brings 2 familiar faces to the ballot as Brandon Spencer faces off against incumbent Ashley Tackett Lafferty.
Lafferty is currently the last remaining Democrat representing Eastern Kentucky in the House after former District 94 Rep. Angie Hatton was defeated in 2022 by Republican Representative Jacob Justice. Spencer, who served in the House as a Democrat for 1 year in 2007, is now a self-proclaimed Trump Republican.
It's really hard to tell. Actually, in early voting, I think the Republicans had a slight advantage of the number of Republicans that voted, which there's still more Democrats registered in Pike County than there is Republicans. So it's really hard to say at this point.
The position represents all of Floyd County and a portion of Pike County, and Lafferty has held that seat since 2019, defeating Spencer for the seat in 2022 again.
In the race for 71st District State Representative, incumbent Josh Bray is facing a challenge from Rachel Riddle. Bray has served in the House since 2021. Previously, Bray served as city administrator in Mount Vernon in Rockcastle County. Riddle has been a small business owner in Rockcastle County for more than 10 years. The 71st District includes Rockcastle as well as parts of Madison, Laurel, and Pulaski counties. You may have noticed Amendment 2 on your ballot while voting. That amendment gives voters the opportunity to make a parental school choice a fundamental right. Supporters hope the amendment is approved so that the Constitution would allow more flexibility regarding how the General Assembly appropriates spending in education. They say Kentuckians need to stand with parents to allow lawmakers to appropriate public funds to privately owned schools. Now, many are opposing this amendment. The Protect Our Schools campaign kicked off its initiative back in June. They say they garnered more than 100 endorsements, including the state's Parent-Teacher Association. They say they have many concerns, including the impact it could have on the public education system. They believe a yes vote would be especially harmful to rural districts, which they say depend more on state dollars.
Voters in Letcher, Menifee, and Morgan counties have cast opinions on alcohol sales. The Letcher County cities of Whitesburg, Jenkins, and Fleming-Neon already allows alcohol sales, but not the whole county. Sheriff Billy Jones says tax money from those sales would go to the Sheriff's Department.
Some equipment, payroll, vehicles, anything that the Sheriff's Office can use it for to better our patrol capabilities and to serve the public better. My goal by the 2026 election, if the finances allow it, is to have 4 road deputies.
Letcher County is one of a very few counties remaining moist or dry in the state. And we want to remind you that now is a good time to download the WYMT News app on this election day. You can follow all of the races in Eastern Kentucky. Just scan the QR code on your screen and that will take you to where you can download the app. It is free at the App Store and Google Play Store, and we will have more news coming up.